Hi, everybody. Welcome back to now the third episode of In Conversation with Justine Friedman. I have my friend and colleague, Roleen Kaplan, with me again today. And we really, I must say, are loving these chats that we're having from week to week. I hope that you, as the viewer, are also enjoying our conversations and that it's sparking within you an interest of the topics that we're discussing, because we truly believe that there is so much value in bringing this information to you, and that will culminate in the workshop that we are going to be doing. It looks like for the South African clients and international clients, we are going to be doing an online workshop. And for those of you who live here in Israel, we are going to do an in-person workshop, which we are very excited for. So today, well, Roleen, welcome back.
Thanks, Justine. Nice to see you again.
And you. I hope you had a good week.
I did, thank God. Thank God. And you? Did you have a good week?
Absolutely. Always busy, but this is one of the highlights of my week, is having our conversation.
Yes, it's fun. It's amazing. I love to unpack all this stuff.
Absolutely. Right. So today I thought, and we actually discussed with the audience or with our viewers last week, that we were going to discuss more about habits. And this is not such a huge topic, but I think we can just give a little bit more of, explain a little bit more about it, how you work with habits, how I work with habits, which we'll obviously go into a lot more detail in the workshops themselves. So last week we were speaking about, and you mentioned, as much as it is important to create new habits which are more beneficial for us, it's also important to be able to let go of bad habits. And I'd love you to be able to speak a little bit more to that. If you can just give some more context to how we identify perhaps what our bad habits are and how we go about letting go of them.
Okay, so it's a huge topic. It's massive, but I'm going to try and keep it sweet and simple. And when we talk of habits, we're talking about behaviors, repetitive behaviors. And often the repetitive behaviors are not positive behaviors. So there are positive habits, but they're mostly negative behaviors leads to negative habits. So the whole thing is what is driving a person to behave in that way that is creating that repetitive behavior. So I remember many years ago when I used to play squash, and I was very dedicated squash player before I had to let it all go and give it all up. I was very focused on, for example, making sure that I prepared my squash racket in a certain way before I got onto the squash court, and I had a certain towel, and I had my habitual behaviors before I played were all driven by fear of I don't want to fail and I want to play my best.
Wow.
Okay, so essentially, if I understood then what I understand now, it would have been better to give 100% focus to I want to play my best, rather than allow the thought in of I'm afraid to fail.
Wow.
Right. So when it comes to habits, and I've seen it over and over again as a sportswoman, in sport, in life, and in everything else that I've tried to do and to teach, we see that negative habits, negative behaviors, recurring patterns of behavior take up so much space in our minds, in our body. And as a consequence, there is no space for good behaviors and good habits to form. So therefore, when I said last time that negative habits need to be let go of, for me, it is absolutely vital to be able to let go of those negativities in order to create the space for newness, for new thoughts, for new behaviors, and potentially for new positive habits to evolve. That's what I was really talking about.
I'm understanding now a lot more of what you mean, and I think that that's incredibly deep, but also makes so much sense. You know, when I think about how hard it is to create new habits, I think maybe part of that is also because so much space is being taken up by the older habits, which are not necessarily as positive for us. And that shift from being able to make space by letting go of what is maybe no longer serving us, or habits that we're just doing on remote control on a daily basis that we're not even thinking about. I would imagine, and maybe you can speak a little bit more to this, that in order to be able to know what we need to let go of, we need to pay attention to what we're actually doing. And there needs to be a greater degree of awareness of how are we proceeding through our day, and what are the habits that we are doing that may actually be not allowing us to progress and to succeed and to reach the goals that we're trying to achieve.
Right. So when I think of the action of a behavior, right, the practical action of the behavior, the practical action of a habit, for me, it boils down to, what are you thinking about? Why are you behaving that way? What are you thinking about? And what thoughts are pushing you to behave in that habitual way? Right. Okay. So if you can shift the way you think, then you will shift the way you behave. And if you shift the way you behave, you shift the way that you think. So yes, there are positive habits, and that's what we need to create. We need to let go of the negative habits. The negative habits are let go of. Is that correct? We let go of negative habits when we change the way that we think. And when we change the way that we think, we allow positive habits to occupy the space that the negative habits took up.
Amazing. And I think
does that answer what you were asking?
Totally, because it's something that I think also spoken so much about today. Is a lot has to do with also this huge topic of brain neuroplasticity, is that what we think about, and what we think about on a consistent basis is the pathway in our brains that is entrenched, and we follow that pathway. So if I constantly think that I'm trying to think of an example.
Like if you take, for example, your thought of the habit forming thought of I'm afraid to, the habit forming thought of I'm terrified of, the habit forming thought of I'm not thin enough, the habit forming thought of I have to have that cup of coffee, otherwise I will not have a good day. Those are habit forming thoughts that for me are negative and need to be let go of.
Okay, so those become almost like a remote control thought pattern in our brains that we therefore react to, and the reaction to that is the habit that gets formed.
Correct.
Okay, so we think that I can only survive in my day, like truthfully, I do need my first cup of coffee in the morning. Hopefully it's not too much of a negative habit to have, but there are certain things that I think in our day-to-day, we like, I can only do this if I've done that, because the thought that's coming before that is leading us in that direction. This feels like a huge, as we said, a huge topic and a lot of impact. So maybe I can share a little bit about what I help my clients with in forming better habits when it comes to making better food choices, because I think a lot of them also come to me saying that they want to achieve a certain goal. They want to bring down blood values, for example, of cholesterol or blood sugar, or they want to reduce bloating and discomfort in their stomach, or they have inflammation, or they want to lose weight, or whatever the end goal, the outcome that they're trying to achieve. When we start looking at what habits they are practicing on a daily basis, if those are not supporting the long-term goal, they're never going to get there. The thought I always have is, if we do what we've always done, we are going to get what we've always got. And I think that is where the shift needs to happen, in changing what we are doing on a daily basis in order to have a different outcome. So one of the things that I've adapted for my clients, because at the end of a series of consultations where I present to them a lifestyle plan, a meal plan of plan of action of how to integrate better sleep, and ideas about exercise and eating patterns and eating choices and food choices, as well as what to think and feel about those foods, it can be very overwhelming. And even if we are very motivated and excited about reaching a goal, I think when we have this huge goal that we're trying to achieve, and yet we don't even know how to start because we feel we have to, it's an all or nothing, that is where I think a lot of the new habit forming can be lost. We want to achieve something, we don't even know where to start. So the advice that I give my clients is to start small and to choose an area where they're going to get a quick win. So what do I mean by a quick win? I mean something that they'll be able to do and feel completely successful after doing it immediately. So for example, if it means that they only drinking 3 or 4 glasses of water a day, and I'm encouraging them to get up to 8 glasses of water a day, I say, right, for the first week, all you're going to do is make sure that you drink 1 more glass than normal for the whole week. Just 1 more glass than normal. And when they do that, I want them to be so excited with themselves for doing it and almost become like a cheerleader. I know my clients probably think I'm nuts when I speak about this, but I feel that they need to cheerlead for themselves when they do implement something new, that they can feel like so proud, like they've been so successful, and that then reinforces that new behavior, reinforces that new habit, and it becomes easier and easier to do over time.
100%, because what you're doing then really is you're helping them get to a point of, I believe in myself.
Wow.
I like myself more. I believe in myself more. And because I had 1 extra glass of water this week, or I cut out 1 piece of chocolate this week, or whatever the meal plan is.
Yes.
Essentially, their thought process is a positive thought process in the positive habit forming behavior that you're teaching them practically. So they're forming a positive thought pattern during the practical behavior change.
And then if you're having more positive thoughts, then the behavior that results as a result of that is going to be more positive as well.
Correct. So I agree with you. Goal setting with a great deal of willpower, intentional eating, intentional thinking, and there are so many tools.
Yes.
that we can use and introduce, that I'd like to introduce in the workshop actually, to reach this stage that you're talking about.
Okay, so part of the workshop, we're going to also go a little bit more into detail about the tools that you specifically also teach, in order to be able to let go of these bad habits and form the new, more positive habits. I love that. I also have a few more tools in my toolbox that I'd love to share, but I thought just this one practical one for today of being able to make one small change which makes you feel positive about what you are doing and reinforces that good habit will lead then to further habits being attempted in a measurable way that you can feel successful with what you're doing.
Okay, so can I build on that with you?
Yes.
So the one small tip of the day is do something small for yourself, practically.
Yes.
Right. And when you do that something small, think to yourself, I really appreciate who I am.
Amazing. Amazing. And I'm proud of the progress that I've achieved.
And I'm proud, absolutely, I'm proud of the progress that I've achieved in having had my extra glass of water today.
Amazing. I love that. Right. So we're going to build on this, I think, next time, because this is, as we said, such a big topic and we can go more and more into detail. Something else that I've been thinking along with the lines of is how, besides the bad habits that we obviously need to let go of and that may not be and are not serving us, is one of the reasons we don't shift out of that is because of the comfort zone that we seem to be stuck in. And perhaps we can discuss a little bit more about comfort zones next week. I always say it's called a comfort zone for a reason, because it's so damn comfy that we don't want to leave it. And yet there's a reason that it keeps us stuck, and just stepping out of it, there's so much positive, there's so much more that we can achieve by having the courage to take that step.
I think that's a great step forward in our next discussion. Comfort zones, making the change. It's where there's that saying, be the change you want to see. You will say that Mahatma Gandhi said that, I think.
It's possible, yeah.
Is it? Be the change you want to see. If it's not Mahatma Gandhi, then just take the quote and not the person, but I think it was Mahatma Gandhi. Be the change you want to see. Let's go into that and chat a little bit about that, because it involves practical behavior change, and of course accompanied by thinking. How you change your thoughts will change your behavior and get you out of that comfort zone, out of feeling stuck.
Right. Okay, so we're going to discuss that next time. Brilliant. Okay, so I just want to say also again, thank you to those who are viewing these videos, and if you are enjoying them, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please also write comments and questions in the comment section so that we can address your questions, we can address your comments, and you can guide us on perhaps also some topics that you'd like us to go through in future episodes. We really want this to be as informative for you as possible, and on subjects and topics that you're very interested in. As always, wonderful chatting to you, Roleen. I'm so grateful for these weekly talks that we have.
So nice chatting. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Wishing everybody a wonderful day, and please God, looking forward to seeing you next week where we are going to challenge our comfort zones.
Great. See you next week.
See you next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye.